Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with reviewing all the live action films I've gotten on DVD and Blu-ray for the last few years, because building up that collection has been kind of fun. Try to remember whether I picked up the movie from either um, what used to be the independent records here, um, either the thrift stores, the Ark, or the Goodwill, Big Lots. Um, or just any place where they've sold DVDs over the years. So we'll start off. I'm gonna try to knock this out in alphabetical order. Let's start off with Aeon Flux, live action adaptation of an animated series, which I do own and I do recommend, and this is awesome. Do check it out. But the live action, yeah, it's not Aeon really. It's they're trying to capture some of the general themes, but this is not a good Aeon Flux movie. It is, however, a semi decent Charlize Theron action movie, but it really a good Aeon Flux movie would have gone for the R rating instead of PG-13. Anyway, um, Black Swan, which I've seen in theaters, uh, very dark, very messed up. Although I've also now that I've seen Perfect Blue, it's kind of hard to unsee the a little bit of similarities. But I was I got into this movie because it was a time when I was really at the peak of my curiosity about ballet. It's like, oh hey, a movie about a ballerina, and she's losing her grip on reality. Oh shit, that's pretty good. Very dark though, not for the faint of heart in terms of content. Blade Runner, it as has been said before, it captures the look and feel of what a cyberpunk world would end up looking like. It's it's really just an interesting journey of visuals and some really good music too. It's just uh, I don't know if being a longer movie or a shorter movie would have helped it more, but it's still pretty good even after all these years. It is also one of my favorite instances of just Harrison Ford in general. Blade Runner and The Fugitive. Those two. The Bourne trilogy. Very gritty, realistic action. A kind of puzzle you're trying to solve as an audience member, alongside the main character who's trying to solve the puzzle of, who was he exactly? What was he capable of? I think I you could watch the first movie and just call it good and be satisfied with it. The trilogy is okay, but I think they just just stopped at the trilogy and called it good. But it is pretty interesting. All the various locations to travel to. The first movie's um, sniper showdown was pretty freaking awesome too. Burn After Reading. I think this is my first time watching a Coen Brothers movie. Was borrowing this one from the library. It's it's funny and dark, and then it drops the funny and goes really shit dark. It's uh just a lot of stuff that could have been avoided if people fucking communicated. Holy shit. How many movies would be fixed if people actually communicated though? But yeah, it's an interesting journey through what happens when people just get the wrong idea from stuff and just don't freaking talk clearly enough about what they find. The Chronicles of Riddick. Um, I've seen Pitch Black. I watched the little Dark Fury animation. I watched this. I watched Riddick, and I am curious to see where they're going to take the franchise if they keep it going. Yes, it's future sci-fi space odyssey kind of thing. It's okay. I would have I would have liked to have seen it on the big screen though, but it's okay if you just want to chill and eat some popcorn and watch some action. It's I do like a lot of the visual style, mainly for the Necromongers. Just how kind of dark they are with their approach to everything. But it's all right. It's all right. Tom Clancy stuff. Um, of these, I've only actually seen Patriot games all the way through. I've probably caught bits and pieces of The Hunt for Red October and possibly Clear and Present Danger. But Patriot games is the one I've seen all the way through, and The Sum of All Fears as well. This is probably another one of my favorite Harrison Ford moments in film history. It's it's been so long since I watched it too. Trying to remember the details and just revenge is a messed up thing. That's especially when you escalate it to crazy levels. It's just I don't know. But this Tom Clancy's stuff in general becoming movies is just kind of an interesting thing. That's, I still wonder if we'll ever one day get a Rainbow Six movie. But anyway, um, The Color of Money, the '80s version. This is what was it the late '80s or early '90s, somewhere around there. But it's very a fairly younger Tom Cruise and Paul Newman making a comeback in this one. It's I really have to wonder about the whole world of pool hustling. Like, really, can't just play for fun. It has to be money. It's like, I it's just kind of a curious thing, I think. But there's one moment in the movie uh, that I thought was kind of funny, but also awesome at the same time. So Forrest Whitaker just like challenges Newman's character out of nowhere and proceeds. It's brutal, but yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I liked it. It was the one that I picked up this year. Galaxy Quest. I think I picked it up this year as well. Kind of sci-fi, very sci-fi, kind of comedy, but there's a little bit of drama to it as well. Just the idea of people acting on a show, then having to deal with the actual aliens existing and helping them out and all that. It's it's fun, and there's some heart to it too. Is always appreciated. And Alan Rickman in that movie is freaking awesome, by the way. So do watch it for that at least. The Game, Michael Douglas. Um, this is one I'd catch. I'd always catch the start of this movie when it was like playing on TV, and I always wanted to see it all the way through. It's just this kind of mental, I want to say mind fuck in a way, but it's supposed to be intended as kind of a therapy session in a way as well. It's kind of messed up, but it is good. Although, uh, I guess I've seen people say the last third of it isn't as good as it could have been. But overall I liked it. I just hope no one ever tries to pull the same that that on me. Uh, Gladiator, I can't believe they actually made a freaking sequel. Um, this was one of the we just moved down to Pueblo and we're going to theaters, checking out movies, and this just left an impact on me of just what a man has to go through, the process of losing everything and then making a comeback. And I am a little more curious as to um, the actual history of that time because that's the thing with movies; they're always messing with history. Yeah, it is. It is awesome. The music especially is just great. Goodfellas. I picked it up and watched it recently. Um, it's a very very brutal gangster movie. I mean, it's kind of hard to do a gangster movie that's not brutal. I guess I guess a non-brutal gangster movie would be Johnny Changersly. Anyway, it's just going through this timeline of someone's history with being brought into the fold of a crime family and having to take part in some messed up shit and then seeing what they're going through and what they have to do to survive, to look after themselves or their own stuff and just try not to die. It's like holy crap. There's a lot of freaking death in this movie. It's it's good, but be ready for dark for going into some dark places. Yeah. All right. Let's get the stack a little bit closer. I've got the movies divided into like four stacks, plus a few set off to the side for reasons. Hackers. This one, fond memories of catching this on TV sometimes. Um, it is kind of ridiculous, but it's the fun kind of ridiculous. There's a lot of the visuals are like, who who would actually go that far for having hacking with that kind of those kind of issues. There was one moment in the movie that where it's like, okay, this kind of makes sense. Where they're actually kind of sneaking into like professional offices and another where they're like sifting through trash of that office, trying to find clues and everything else to get their way in. It is silly, but it's fun. All right. This was a very, very recent pickup. and very recent watch. Harakiri, Death of a Samurai. So one of the channels I like to watch on YouTube is called The Shogunate, and this is one of the movies that was recommended. That it was reviewed, recommends it, high marks, and watching it for myself, um, I absolutely recommend it. It is not just a movie about samurai; it is also a movie about family. And if you want to understand what I mean by that, find a copy and watch it for yourself. Bear in mind, it's also a brutal movie. Let's just speed this up a little bit. The entire Hobbit trilogy, which I picked up because it was part of a watch along thing, and it's they're okay. It's visually stunning, great music, some wonderful action scenes, but it just felt way too long. Like, why did it really need to be three movies? I'm thinking, I want to say it could have been done in two. I don't think there's any way to do it in one, though. Two would make sense, but it really needed to be three movies. It has been, I want to say, 25 years since I last read any part of The Hobbit. So I'm tempted to just go find a copy of it again and compare it to the how things went in this one. All right. Inception. It's one I got to see on the big screen, and it's another mental, very cerebral movie of dreams and grip on reality and influencing people. It's visually awesome, and the story is actually kind of fun too. Just why did I say fun? It's actually kind of messed up. But just the whole idea of setting up a team to pull off this kind of cyberpunk-esque heist on someone's head, but instead of taking things, you're trying to put something in there and guide them to doing what we need them to do, and then just dealing with mistakes from the past haunting you. Literally, it's like wow, it's quite the experience. Um, it's one I just picked up out of nowhere for the hell of it. Kingdom of Heaven. Uh, Visually cool, music is cool. I do have to wonder about the story, like how this is appropriately it's from the same director from Gladiator. Um, Again, I have to wonder about the history and how close it's getting to that. It's also a very curious ending. Maybe, it gets to that point and it's like, okay, yep, we gotta do this. Yep, yep. And I can kind of see why, but it's still, uh, just, uh, sometimes I try to think about a movie and it's like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around certain aspects of it. All right. Labyrinth, movie that came out the year I was born, the 1986. Yeah. If it was 1986, yeah, it was the year I was born. I was kind of surprised. Um, this is this is the fun movie. Yes, there are some kind of dark, spooky moments, but it's it's an interesting adventure into just these ideas and this peril and growing up. I think what I remember, the one thing that always sticks out to me is like at the beginning with just that big poofy sleeve dress. It's like, okay, that's probably why I want to have something like that for myself one of these days. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Tom Cruise is and the Last Samurai. Uh, seeing okay, this whatever issues the movie has, Tom Cruise. This is still my personal favorite Tom Cruise movie. My personal favorite role for Tom Cruise as Nathan Algren. Again, I'm wondering about the history and this. What is it with movies and history that sometimes they just kind of have to fudge stuff? I don't know. But I do like a lot of the action. It's a good mix of action and just kind of the drama and personal moments where he's just spending time with that family and just trying to understand Japanese and figure it out on his own. And just trying to get a feel for everything. That's it's interesting. And also Ken Watanabe is like freaking awesome. We have the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Which I also there are a number of movies I picked up because YouTuber watch alongs, and some I haven't really even really gone around to watching because in spite of that. But I remember, um, I think we saw at least two out of three of these in the theater, so that made for a great spectacle of this beautiful place and this spirit of adventure, eventually into dark places and absolute danger. It's like this is this is epic. This is what epic means to me. And it's just it's nice to come back to it every so often and enjoy that spirit of adventure again. Right. Lord of Horror, very dark, very brutal. Like Burn After Reading, the comedy, the kind of dark humor just goes straight into darkness past a certain point. And the ending, you realize, okay, cool, but it also kind of sucks at the same time. Um, Also, I kind of wish they could have done something more with Ethan Hawke's character, like Jack Valentine, Interpol hero, new movie coming in summer. Discount pickup of Luther. All right, so in middle school, I don't know why Martin Luther caught my attention completely, but I was kind of curious, like, oh, okay, this is the person who had the guts to really challenge the way things were going. And even though there's, go into the actual history and see this has got some other issues. The one thing that I still can kind of respect is challenging the way things were going with the Catholic Church. Apparently, they really took a lot of liberties with this one, so it's an okay movie. Alfred Molina as kind of a one scene wonder of um, one guy comes in um, looking for people to contribute. See, there's just one historical thing that's like, okay, that actually stuff like that was actually happening with they're asking kind of the poor and less well off people for money. Why are they asking the poor and the less well off people for money? Why aren't they asking the people who actually have money to invest? Quit bugging the poor for money. The Matrix, the three main movies at the Animatrix. The Animatrix is freaking awesome, by the way. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It might be a mixed bag, but it is great to look at. The very first movie we saw in theaters after moving here to Pueblo was The Matrix, and that movie was probably the most essential experience of the time. It's like if you were going to see any movie that year, this is the one you had to see the most. It's got action, it's got a lot of again cerebral, you know, moments of really thinking things through, of thinking over the logic of stuff. There's that moment in the first movie where Neo says, "I know kung fu," and Morpheus says, "Show me." That's like that is the perfect response anyone should have to anyone saying that they know something. Is show me that you know. Show me that you know. Show me how you apply it to reality, to real life stuff. You know, you can talk, but you can talk the talk and you walk the walk. Yeah, it's just the first movie was good. The other two movies were okay. Not the best, but I was okay with, the way things ended. Oh, brother, we're out. This movie is funny as hell. It is just an adventure. It's just a fun adventure. Although everyone's got their little quirks that make things difficult. And then we have and kind of a dark moment towards the end of. There's some like dark moments spread throughout. But there's just a kind of straight up moment of oh shit, just realizing just how dedicated some people are to not just being hateful, but organizing their hate into seriously fucked up action. It's like, eesh. Yeah, great movie. Um, awesome music. Would would definitely like to listen to the soundtrack again one of these days. The Outsiders. I remember the book. I mostly remember the book. A lot of it's still kind of fuzzy. A lot of my childhood book memories are fuzzy, but it's it's a good movie. It's great. It's about having to grow up and dealing with circumstances that make it kind of more challenging to grow up and dealing with just groups going against each other for no good reason. Really, there's no reason for you know, these guys and the kind of preppy assholes to really fight each other. But yeah, it's a great movie. Do check it out. Outrage and Beyond Outrage. I've seen Outrage Coda, so I've seen the entire trilogy, but I only have the two movies. It is brutal, brutal gangster movies because you know gangsters got to be brutal. It's an interesting look. Yeah, it's fictional, but there's probably some kind of truth to the procedures and guidelines of being part of the Yakuza. So it's it isn't just an absolute brutal drive through this world of Japanese gangsters. And it's good. It's just it goes to some dark places, and I'm just wondering if I could really handle watching it again. This was yeah. So we have this library service that goes with our local library called Hoopla, and that's how I managed to watch all three of those movies. I was just kind of surprised. I don't know what was going through my head. I was like, I want to watch Yakuza films, and I just ended up seeing Outrage. Like, okay, I'm gonna check out that one since my local library has a program to access those Pacific Rim Uprising, gigantic robots, uh, kicking ass and fight monsters. This I'd missed out on seeing this one in theaters. I did see this one in theaters. They're okay. They're fun. Big stompy robots fighting giant monsters is always going to be fun for me. Um, that's really it. I'm not really thinking too hard about characters or story or whatever. It's just big stompy robots kicking monster ass, and that's fun to me. Although there was a part in the second movie that was like, why did they do this? Did the monsters really need to do this thing? They're just dumb. Uh, Ready Player One, which I've seen in theaters. It's just nostalgia trip. The story's okay, characters are okay. Just enjoy the nostalgia of whatever you might have encountered in childhood, teenage, early adult days. If it shows up on the screen, it's like, oh yeah, it's that thing. Cool. I was really surprised to see freaking Mad Balls though. I saw, I remember I was a kid and we'd rent movies and stuff, and I remember um Mad Balls had a movie, so I was kind of surprised when I saw that one in there. RoboCop, very dark, but it's kind of a dark humor at points. It is it is very cyberpunk. It it's not a well, that's the weird thing. It's not like shiny future with cruddy underground cyberpunk. It's cruddy everything cyberpunk. Um, Peter Weller is awesome. I give him that. Also, what the hell kind of drug lord name is Clarence Boddicker? Honestly, is that like uh, maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. Ronin. I would catch parts of this on TV because I remember it was either TBS or TNT or something. They play movies quite a bit, sometimes during the middle of the day. And if it was like summer, it's like, yeah, I have all the time in the world to stay indoors and watch movies on television. This and Roadhouse and others as well. Yeah, just kind of this mystery going on of this case and this. I need to go back and watch this again. It is one of the rare Sean Bean survives movies, but it's just uh, I need to watch it again one of these days. Try to understand it a little bit better. It's the post Cold War era, basically, and what happens when you know when all that falls apart. San Elmo's Fire. I remember. Um, was it last year or so? Someone was asking. Someone was telling me about the essential Gen X experience, and they recommended this movie. It's you know how Friends, the TV show, everyone's got kind of quirks, but they're still have some degree of likability to them. Most of the people in this group are assholes, or at least jerks. Maybe at least one person's a decent person, but they've their issues just cause so much friction. No wonder anyone still talks to each other out of all of them. It's okay. Strange Days. This this is another kind of Freddy everywhere cyberpunk esque. This is like right on the edge before cyberpunk would happen. Is we've got this kind of device to share dreams and stuff. The thing, this was like way before Inception, just share dreams and all that. I almost want to say there's something that kind of reminds. I'm trying to remember which Burning Chrome story. Um, the Burning Chrome anthology by William Gibson. There's like 10 stories. I'm trying to remember which one's like probably the closest to capture to feeling like this one, or this one feels like that. It's it is an interesting mystery of things going on and trying to figure things out. And you got guys just like mostly jaded, and it's kind of hard to really nudge them out of that. But it seems like there's some kind of hope for them eventually. It's it's an interesting journey to go through. Just bear in mind, there's going to be some very uncomfortable violence in this movie, and also nudity, so don't let kids watch it. But yeah, it's pretty good. Um, Tenet was a another. I'm picking this up for a watch along with a VTuber movie. It's I'm still trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. It's okay. It's it is the visuals are cool. The visuals when things are going backwards are interesting. That's probably like the main thing about it. And also make sure to turn on the subtitles because apparently the sound mixing was not as good as it should have been. It's like, but I know you're trying to capture a certain feel by having the sound mixed a certain way, but really the audience should be able to hear it before they need to read it. Troy, I think I saw this on the big screen. It's just it's just an epic adventure of revenge and miscommunication. Really, it's the best thing out of this is the fight between Achilles and Hector. It's that is like the one thing to watch the movie for. Otherwise, it's all right. Um, again, there's probably the actual myth is probably gonna be more accurate and stuff. But this is just a nice visual treat. Yeah. I do have a little bit of familiarity with some mythology from back then. Um, I've read. I used to have this book. It was just myths from all around the world. There's the Greek. There's Celtic. There was um, India. There's that area. Um, European, Slavic mythology, and Vikings, Norse mythology, and Japanese mythology. And that there's a the the moment that actually like leads up to how things actually turn out is kind of funny, but also kind of messed up too. Apparently involves like the goddess Eris not getting invited to a party or something, and so she throws this apple reads to the fairest to these three goddesses, and they can't agree who deserves it because they all want it for themselves, and so they leave it to Paris. And Paris's judgment is affected by what each goddess offers, and he goes with the goddess that offers Helen of Troy, or Helen of Sparta, and thus kicks off the Trojan War. And then, if I remember correctly about Helen, she's the daughter of Nemesis, who is like probably my favorite. There's not a whole lot of details about her, but I'm a fan of Nemesis. So it's weird or anything. Anyway, The Truman Show, another VTuber watch along movie I picked up. Although I actually had the movie in my collection, it's like, oh, I had time perfectly for this one. Uh, I remember this one, and like the game is another kind of mind fuck scenario of just trying to control this person's decisions and drive their life in a certain direction to make a TV show out of it. And the ending the ending to this movie is probably one of the most satisfying movie endings I've ever seen. I I can't say much more about it. But it is one of this is probably my favorite Jim Carrey role is in the Truman Show. Wanted. 2008 was a very interesting year in my life, but I can't really say a whole lot about it. But I saw this in theaters at a time that I was just dealing with a lot of doubts and uncertainty and whether or not what I wanted to do was worth doing. And this was the movie that basically sealed my resolve of, yep, I'm gonna I'm gonna go on an adventure and explore something I haven't really explored before and go have fun and get a bigger perspective on things. But as for the movie itself, it is the action. The action is awesome. The effects are pretty good. The song, Danny Elfman does the whole soundtrack, but I believe, but that song, "The Little Things," is probably one of my personal favorite songs. That if I could, I would want to cover it. I really do. And it's all right. It's a fun action movie with an interesting twist around the middle. 2/3 mark. It's it's cool. Warcraft. I wanted to see this in theaters, and it disappeared before I could see it in theaters. I really do want to see them do more with this than just the one movie. I know it didn't do as well as people didn't do financially well as people were hoping for, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. The visuals are cool. The the characters on the human side were okay. I just I just really wanted to see more with um with the franchise. And then we got Zoolander, another pick it up from Big Lots movie. Yeah, there's a lot of these I just ended up picking up from freaking Big Lots because they happened to be there. But it's kind of a it's really silly kind of movie of this total fool getting caught up in an evil plan and other people having to step in and help him thwart it. This thinking it over in hindsight, it feels a lot like it could be an anime. They have this idiot hero and this rival who comes out of nowhere and totally shows him up, and he ends up having to step away and try to go back to his roots, but even his roots don't want him. But then he gets an opportunity, and it's an opportunity that ends up completely exploiting him. And so it takes his rival, a love interest, and a conspiracy theorist to try to get him in a better position to end up thwarting the evil plan. Uh, it sounds like an anime plot to me, but it is it is just a silly, silly movie, and but it's got some heart to it, so worth checking out. So I said I was going to watch these movies first. I'm going to go ahead and reveal the movies I have yet to watch, but I will probably put in an addendum, after like in the comments or whatever. Uh, Color Out of Space, based on the H.P. Lovecraft story. Um, I picked it up again for a VTuber watch along. Um, that I and if the VOD is still there, I would honestly be shocked. But I'll have to get around to watching it since hey, it's Halloween. Halloween's around the corner. It's time for spooky movies. Speaking of which, um, Hellraiser, which I don't know what it is about my curiosity that keeps bringing me to wonder about this movie, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna watch it. Fine, I'll pick it up. It was, it was in the little DVD section of Big Lots, of course, and it's like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna watch it one of these days, and before Halloween, and I'll um, comment my review at the in the comment section. It's just seems like a very fucked up concept. I'm just so curious, but I'm curious though. Uh, I have this weird curiosity with regard to horror films. I have a hard time trying to watch them, but I still want to look up information about them on TV tropes. I'm probably spoiling myself too much doing it that way. So I'm trying to like go as long as possible away from looking up those movies on TV tropes before actually going back to watch them for real. And also in the YouTuber watch along section, Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home. I haven't even seen the third movie, so I don't know if it's watching the second, watching the third. would add some critical context. I've seen the second one though. I've seen bits and pieces of other Star Trek movies on TV over the years. Yeah, it's good. I picked it up for watch along, and then the person graduated, and I never got around to um, catching the watch along VOD before it disappeared. It just 2023 was where I really questioned my interest in spending a whole lot of time with VTubers anymore. And I've probably been spending less and less time every month since then. But yeah, I'm just they said this was their one of their favorite movies. So Star Trek 4 The Voyage Home, gonna watch it. Probably end up watching it while this is uploading or something. Or tomorrow since I've got all the time in the world tomorrow. But yeah, that's the live action feature film collection. I also have animated feature films, um, animated series, both Western and anime. I have live action TV series and some live action like instructional stuff. I don't know why I still have that I still have a Tybo DVD of all things. Yeah. uh yeah, it's just interesting to just build up this collection of movies that you can just if you need to remember something, if you need to reference something, wonder about like I could have sworn it was in this movie, and then just watching the movie again and rediscovering all the little things that add together and make it a complete experience that was enjoyable. If if there's any kind of running theme through the collection that's like, yeah, this you know these all these movies, you're this kind of person. By all means, um, let me know down in the comments what it says about me. All right, thank you very much for watching. This has been Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, and I will see you next time.